So what I do is I say, okay, look, let me tell you how it all began, right? And then you're going to use these verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, and you're going to start your discussion with that. So you can say, and recite the verse to them as well. And then you will start that, look, at one point, Allah had two types of creation. Allah had angels, that's a creation, that's made out of light. You have some concept of angel, right? And most people would have that. And these creation, the angels, they don't disobey Allah. They don't have a choice. Whatever Allah tells them, they do it. Okay? Then they also had a creation, which is Satan. You guys know that's Satan. And that is essentially created from fire, right? And that, he has a free will, right? So he can choose to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if he chooses to. Okay? Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling them, look, I'm going to create human being, right? When Allah tells this to the angels, they become concerned, right? Because they know that the human being will have a free will. He will have a choice to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they realize this, and they look at the extreme negative side, and then they ask that how would you create someone that would basically cause corruption and bloodshed on earth? Okay, so that kind of answers your question in the sense that, look, the notion of evil is one part, right? And that's something that the angels were concerned about too. But that's part and parcel of giving free will to human being. So now human being is in a very interesting place because of this free will. So imagine, like, is there any direct praise for angels? Right? Can Allah boast about angels, right? You know how we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions us and boasts about us on the day of Arafah when we're fasting, end of Ramadan, and so on and so forth, right? That cannot be applied to angels because they don't have a choice. So it's quite interesting that Allah creates someone and gives them the knowledge that what is pleasing to Allah and what is displeasing to Allah, gives them the ability that they can do, they can choose either ways. And then if they make the right choice, they're appreciated and they're rewarded. And if they make the wrong choice, they are eligible for punishment. So that is quite beautiful. Now, so you tell them this thing that, look, they have this dialogue, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the angels that, look, I know what you don't know. And the angels realize this. Okay? Now to give this strength, to prove this claim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also establishes clearly by giving knowledge to Adam alayhi salam, the first human being, our father, and he gives them the knowledge that angels don't have, and then he clearly demonstrates to the angels that, can you tell me about these things? And they agree that, no, we don't have that knowledge, we only know what you have told us. And then Adam alayhi salam tells them all the story and establishes the superiority of Adam by knowledge. And Allah tells them, look, there's a lot that you don't know. You're only thinking about one thing, which is that extreme. But it's quite powerful to have a human being. From this human being will be people that would be beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Will be the people that would be ready to sacrifice their son for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Will be the people that would be calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Will be the people that would be waking up in the middle of night to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Will be the people that would be ready to give up their wealth and their lives for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And this is why they are praised. Now, moreover, if you think about it, think of a God, right? If you just want to take it, think of a God that only has a creation that has no free will. Right? That God in and itself is limited because He's not showing His attribute of control. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us free will, but He's still in charge. Okay, let me explain what I mean by that. So, my phone, technically, a lot of people have the ability to steal this phone, right? Right? But at the same time, this phone cannot be stolen and nothing can happen to this phone unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows it. So if all of you plot against stealing the phone and Allah does not want that to happen, it wouldn't happen, right? And we just saw an example for that, right? So I can work on the slides, I can have the slides ready, be all there, and message everybody, okay, I want the slides, the TV to be here, 7:30, I can do whatever, but unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want, it cannot happen. And that is quite beautiful, which you cannot see if there was no concept of free will. And then at the same time, how do you see the forgiving side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And then how do you see the retribution side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His ability to punish as well as forgive? So this really gives you a complete and perfect picture of God. So make sure you're explaining these points to the non-believer, to someone who does not know about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I have summarized this here. Look, choice, Allah knows everything. It has the wisdom behind it. And our knowledge is limited. And then there's a notion of trust and submission. So basically, once you've established the superiority of Adam, then you walk them through the test. Now what happens is the angels and the Satan are commanded to prostrate to Adam alayhi salam as an obedience, as an act of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Angels do that. They did not ask, they did not refute. But shaitan, his ego kicks in and he starts putting in logic. And whose logic? His own logic, which is so limited, he comes with one angle. Why should I do that? I'm better than him because of the element of creation. Right? And he doesn't have that submission because he thinks that, that's the only reason. And that's that notion of, look, this is why we don't eat pork, not because we have done our research and it's harmful for your health and this and that, but because we are submitting to the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's it. You define this test. The order of Allah comes in, somebody does it, someone doesn't do it, and he justifies it. So this establishes that arrogance. Right? So he's being arrogant about it. Then the test of Adam alayhi salam comes in. Our father. Okay? And then you're telling them this thing that, look, Adam alayhi salam now is put into paradise where he doesn't have to work. There's no evil in paradise. There's no sickness in paradise. There are no taxes in paradise. There's no war in paradise. Right? Any evil that you can think of doesn't happen in paradise. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him, look, go eat and enjoy yourself. But this one tree, leave it alone. Okay? And why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not give a reason that we know of, that it has cholesterol or it's fatty or you're going to die or anything like that. Just khalas, leave it alone. So that's where the submission comes in. And Adam alayhi salam is fine and happy. He's not going there. There's a wife for Adam alayhi salam or a mother. And then what happens next? Move it down. So what happens next is shaitan comes in and he persists in lying to Adam alayhi salam. Right? He says, no, if you go for this tree, you will have a life forever. And you will have a kingdom that will never perish. So now he's putting in a desire with false promise. And he's being consistent about it. And finally, Adam alayhi salam falls for it. So now, this is also a good point that you can establish the fact that, look, you have angels that will support you in worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You also have your own good side that will be encouraged to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you also have the satanic side, okay, that discourages you and that makes you these false promises. That, oh, I'm so busy, I cannot practice Islam, so on and so forth. It's just deceiving us. But what happens after this test is how Adam alayhi salam reacts. And how he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. And how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives him. And that time, you also want to show him that, look, now this is another beautiful side, right? It shows another amazing attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he can forgive you. If he sees you're sincere, he can forgive you. He does not need to kill someone to forgive you. Right? So think about it. Which makes more sense? A God that does need to kill someone of his own to forgive you, or God that can just forgive you because he can? Right? So you want to discuss that with them. And you also want to establish the fact that, look, somebody could have, a level of relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that's here at a certain level. He commits a sin, the level drops, and then he's so sincere in repentance and good deeds that he may now go up a level above where he was before he committed the sin. Right? So that's such a beautiful relationship. Then you want to bring this to the ending, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now put us all on earth. And he made this challenge that, look, whoever follows my verses, whoever follows what I want you guys to establish, will end up in paradise, will have no fear, no grief. And if you choose other way, then you have punishment.